Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. So glad to have you here. I'm Nicole and this is Nicole Creates, and today we are running with scissors as we do every Thursday and have every Thursday since 2020. Can you believe it? We've been doing this for a long time now. We are into our 110th, 111th episode. It's crazy how many times I've done this. I just can't believe it. Some days it just it's unbelievable how fast time flies, and how we're still here just grinding away at it. Today we are moving into, excuse me, today we are moving into a new topic. We are moving into acrylic paints. I love this month. It's going to be so very cool. And I hope that you guys enjoy it as well. If you've got acrylic paints because you do gel press work, or you aspired to do gel press work and you haven't yet, this is another great way to use up your acrylic paints. So we'll talk about that and throw out some ideas that you might have about using other mediums if you don't have acrylic paints. And there are other ways that we can do this. So if you are new to the channel, and you just might be, if you've come off of the Card Maker Success Summit, welcome. If you found me somewhere else, welcome. Go ahead and pop your name and your where you're from down into the chat. I'd love to hear from you. As you can see, we are from all around the world. We are a lively bunch, and we're always doing tons of fun stuff with paper and ink and just exploring the whole world of paper crafting joyfully. Anyway, yeah, I know, bustling to the music, right? It was we had a little techno going on today. Yeah. Sometimes I need like a little pick me up, and that really helps. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I got all sorts of people today. Welcome to everybody out here. Let's see. So I'm going to pop into some announcements real quick. These are going to be quick this week. We're doing acrylic paint this month. Next month, we're moving into the Stamp Focus Challenge. So if you have signed up for the Stamp Focus Challenge, and you're here because of that, welcome to you as well. You're going to get a feel for how the flow is going to go, at least this part of it. Every week we're going to have one of our projects will be showcased here on the Running with Scissors live stream, and then we'll break, and then afterwards we have our own private Q&A to talk about the project of the day and ask questions about supplies and tools and techniques and all that good stuff, and have some crafty camaraderie. So being a part of the challenge is a huge way to move from collector to creator, right? We hate that we're buying all this stuff and we're not using it. We're not inspired. We're over inundated with like ideas. And then when it comes down to actually creating, we're like, I'm frozen. So being a part of the Bloom community takes us into being more avid creators instead of just supply collectors. And that's what the Stamp Focus Challenge is all about. We focus in on one stamp set and learn all sorts of great techniques to use with just one stamp set. And of course, we can apply that to any stamp set at that point. Once you learn the techniques, you can apply them to anything, right? So that's the most important part, is learning the techniques and how to be fearless in applying them. And that's what we do during the Stamp Focus Challenge. So that is next month. I'm going to talk about that again in a second here. If you're not already on my mailing list, go ahead and grab my freebie. Go to NicoleWattCreates.com/technique freebie, and that will get you on my mailing list and get you a nice freebie, which also shows you some of the techniques that are a part of the technique library. One of the members' favorite parts of being in the Bloom community is the technique library. So this gives you a little sneak peek to what that's all about and gets you on your way to learning some techniques as well. It's really great. And it gets you on my mailing list, so that way you can find out about when the challenge opens up and how you can join and all sorts of extra details and all sorts of good things. So get on the mailing list so that way you can be in the know. Also, this little last part here is about how you can support me. So you can support me by giving me a big thumbs up on this video. You can also support me by hitting that share button like right now and sharing it out into other communities that you belong to, where people craft and they might be really interested in what I do here, and you want to share that with them. So go ahead and click on the share button and share me out to the Facebook groups you belong to and all that good stuff, and get some more folks over here so we can all be crafty together. You can also support me by using today's product links. There's a link down below and in the chat that will take you over to Link Deli, and that will show you all of the products that I'm using today. If you need to do some shopping, You can use those links and they will attach that nice little cookie that tells where you're shopping from, that I am an affiliate and you're shopping with me. That will give me a small commission on your order, always at no additional cost to you. That's a great way to help support crafters in the industry, is to use our affiliate links and use them always. It doesn't cost you a dime extra, and it's just an easy way to say thank you that you were inspired by something that we created. Right? If you don't need to do some shopping, and we don't need to shop every week, right? You can always click on the tip jar and send me a couple bucks for a cup of joe. I always appreciate that as well. All right. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel. So if you're not already a subscriber, click on the subscribe button, click on the bell to get reminders, and be just like all of these other folks that have joined my channel in the last couple of weeks. And thank you to all of you for subscribing. I appreciate it. Awesome. Okay. So again, the challenge is open. Register today. Go to join.bloomcrafters.com/challenge and join the Stamp Focus Challenge. We are using, you can see the stamp set right in that picture. It is called, oh my gosh, why do I always forget this? I'm going to grab it actually. Because you want to see it. I know you do. It's called Feed Your Soul. You know why I get it confused? Because right down here it says Feeding Your Soul, but it's actually Feed Your Soul. All right, this is the stamp set I'm going to be using all month. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to use this stamp set. So like everyone's like, it's Feed Your Soul, Nicole, don't you know? Oh my God. I have to remember a lot of things, guys. Okay, so you don't have to use this stamp set. I'm going to use this stamp set all month long. If you have a beautiful floral like this that has nice open spaces that will fit on a entire project, an A2 card, then use it. All right, shop your stash first. And then if you really love this stamp, get it. I'm not going to say no, don't get it. Get it if you want. Use my affiliate link. Anyway, sign up for the challenge. It is a great time. There is an optional swap. We're going to be doing a private workshop on the 5th week, exclusive just to challengers. So join the challenge. You guys will love it. I've gotten so many compliments and kudos on the last challenge. I'm going to share some of those with you guys next week. If you're not already convinced to join the challenge, you will be by then. All right. Tracy, she's so funny. She says, we don't need to shop every week. What about every day? Hey, I'm not going to tell you what you do and don't need to do. But if you don't need to shop, you can use a tip jar. If you do need to shop, use my affiliate links. I appreciate it, guys. I really, really do. All right. Let's talk about this week's projects. Okay, so today, Altenew released some new products. So we're going to use those today. You may have already seen these projects over on my blog from the Hop. If not, stop on over there because the PDFs for these are now available. Every week I do a PDF library, which is another great reason to be on my list. The only way you can get into the PDF library is to get the password from my list, from my emails. All right. And the only way you can get that is if you're on my list. So get the freebie, get on my list, get the emails, get the secret code to get to the PDFs to create both of these. These lovely cards. They are gorgeous. I am in love with them. They exemplify exactly what you can do with acrylic paint on a card. All right. So acrylic paint isn't just for like fine artists or whatever. I mean, obviously you guys know you can use acrylic paint for all sorts of things, right? All right. Paula, what's not available anywhere in the UK? I don't know. Tell me. And I'll try to help you out. All right, so these are the cards. They're gorgeous. We're going to do a twofer because we're using a stencil. So, of course, I'm always doing the flippity flop on the stencil, right? Okay, so the stamp set is called Well Read. It is a lovely stamp set. It's got a whole bunch of different quotes from different writers. So different books that you might know. And this is really great. I love this. And when I saw this, I was like, oh yeah, this is one that needs to go in my collection. You know why? Because you can create this kind of card that you can send just because, right? It doesn't have to be for any particular purpose or, you know, a holiday or an event or anything like that. It can be just because, right? And it's a gorgeous card to send. All right. And then the intricate mandala. And this is a two-part. It's got like the frame, so that way you can mask if you need to. And then it's got this really, really intricate stencil, which we're going to be using today. All right, so there's a couple of questions coming up. Okay, so Paula says that she wasn't able to find the stamp set in the UK. Oh, excellent. Cece says she emailed her local shopist and or stockist, I should say, and they are going to get it from her, and that's in Sweden. That's an excellent option. Paula, I know there's some local stockists that carry picket fence from time to time, so perhaps you'll find one. I'm thinking of one, and I can't think of their name off the top of my head, but if I think of them, I'll let you know. All right, Tracy wants to know if we're signed up for the challenge and you miss a live, can you view it after? Of course you can view it after. The lives are always available here. What I do on Bloom Crafters though, and for the challenge, is I edit it to get, I take out the advertisement stuff at the beginning, and I edit down any of the parts where I'm just like heat setting something or whatever. And I post the edited version for you to have as well. So that way it's ad free. And then you can, you know, watch it in all kind of in order with everything from the challenge. So that way you don't have to go hunting around on YouTube for it. So that's another perk of doing the challenge as well. All right. Sharon, look for the password at the very bottom. It comes out on my Wednesday emails and my Friday emails. So check the email tomorrow. It will have the password on the bottom. All right. Let's get started. Okay, so we're going to start off with two pieces of watercolor cardstock. And as you can see, I have them cut larger than what I need. All right, that's because I want to be able to create without limiting myself in space, and then cut down whatever part I like the best, right? Okay. Let's see, Joan's having a problem with the freebie. Joan, email me. If you reply back to any of the emails I send, I will get that and I'll be able to help you out with that. All right, so I've got some water here and I've got some acrylic paint. So let's talk about these acrylics here. All right, we've got light green permanent. So this came from like a bundle. This is a smaller little container, right? And then this one is phthalocyanine green. All right, so a nice dark green and a light green. And then I have this fun stuff. This is called acrylic ink. It's a very loose, watery acrylic. All right, and these are what I'm going to be using. Now, when I do anything here, use what you have. If you have acrylic paints that you've used for gel press, use them. Come up with some different color combinations that you like that are maybe contrasting colors, so across from each other on the color wheel, right? Or you can water down certain embossing pastes. If it smells like paint, like acrylic paint, then it can be watered down. So for example, the Crafters Workshop, I'm looking at my stuff up here that I've got. The Crafters Workshop stuff, you can water that down to make it a little looser, or to use it with a sponge and things like that. The paper glazes from Picket Fence can be watered down as well. And even their paper glitz can be watered down. That's more of a glue-based paint, but that would work as well. And it's glitzy as well, but you can use that. All right, so there's lots of different things that you can use. You could even pour out a little bit of an ink spray if you want, if you don't have any of that. But you know, a lot of people have acrylic paints or onesie twosie because they're doing this for gel press, right? Okay, so I'm gonna take my stencil, and I really don't need to necessarily think about how I want it to be. You know, like I think I'm going to put it here, and then like I'll probably get 2 out of it. I mean, I'm going to cut a little bit more off center in the end. This is what I am hoping to work with, but we'll see how it works out, right? You never really know. All right, so I'm working on my glass mat, and I'm just going to put out a couple little dollops. Why aren't you closing? Close. This lid is kind of funky. I'll have to look at that later. And this one is just a twist open. All right, so two beautiful shades of green. Love these guys. All right, and then I've got some sponges. These are just plain old makeup sponges. They're nothing special. So use something that you can get cheap and cheerful from the drugstore or whatever. You don't have to use like a brand name craft product or whatever for these kinds of things. This is just a makeup sponge. All right, so I got them wet because I want acrylic paints using a stencil. All right. Now, of course, I'm holding it down because I don't want it to move. And I want to get that outline and I want to get the outside. All right, so I'm going to go into the darker green now as well. This is going to kind of help them blend together. Every time you do this, it's going to look different. Right? It's okay if you get little thicker bits. And you know what? Let me zoom in just a little bit so you guys can get a little closer view now that you've seen this setup here. All right. So because this is a doesn't have any borders around it or anything, I couldn't spray it. I couldn't adhere it down, right? And I didn't want to pixie spray it just because I didn't want it to pull up the loose any loose paper from the, because this is watercolor paper, so you know sometimes it pulls up a little layer. But what we're doing here is going to be just fine. All right, so just keep a firm hold on it as you're going around. And look, see, I'm getting like some little darker spots where the paint is laying down a little more thicker. I have lost words today. Right, and I'm just trying to like get some soft edges here. If you saw in the sample, they don't have to be perfectly soft edges. But if you want them to be soft edges, you can spray them with some water and get these to kind of soften up a little bit. All right, but I've got, look at that. I've got all this great green paint on here now, right? Oh my gosh. So this is going to set aside for a minute and start drying. But while I'm waiting, I cannot let this go to waste, guys. I just can't. And why would you want to? So watch this. Take this, and my little spray is never too far away. So acrylic is water-based. So I'm going to pop this just like so. And always grab a paper towel. So now it's soaking into our watercolor paper. A paper towel helps to keep it from smearing in between all those spaces where we don't want it to, right? Back up. All right. And there we go. That's what we got. And it looks like I missed a little bit here. I don't know if I'll be able to rescue anything, but let's give it a try. Nope, it just doesn't want to come off there. So that's what I'm getting, and that's okay. And we will create a really cool card from that. All right, so this can be washed. I like to put it in Murphy's oil soap because it really does help pull all of that acrylic paint off of that. And it works really brilliantly to get all of that off. All right, so this we're going to leave. I really wish, I kind of wish it had gotten a little bit more. I'm really feeling like, come on, I know there's more paint on here to remove. So let's see. Live dangerously, guys. It's only paper. And if you don't get the second print, it's okay, right? We don't always get the second pull. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. But if you're really adamant about wanting to have it, you can try to lay it on top. All right, so I'm going to go set this aside. Okay, so the acrylic paint can dry on the stencil. If you soak it, then it will come up. I promise. Acrylic paint will come off your stencils. 100%. Like, I have very few stencils that end up like stained or anything like that even. So it works out pretty well. Okay. So here we go. We got 2 panels. And we still need the water. We still kind of need everything. I'm going to zoom back out. All right, so there we go. Thanks, guys, for sharing your tips on how you like to participate. Some people say that they like to follow along. Some people watch first and then they watch the replay and craft along with it. Lots of different ways to approach it, right? Okay, so here's the cool thing about acrylic paint. And I'm going to dry this just a little bit so that way I can set the paint. So acrylic paint, once dry, is basically waterproof. On paper, right? So it's going to take a lot of water to even think about moving it. So it's really not going to move. So I'm going to use my new Heat It Ranger craft tool here. Super nice because I can talk over it, and it does get nice and hot, and it will dry these up real quick. We're going to add more water to them as well, but we want to get this paint set on here. All right, so let's take a look at what we've got here. See, there's some little thick spots like here and here. And those are going to look really great in a minute when we start adding in the magenta. Magenta, yeah, we're going to add magenta to this. I mean, you saw the previews. You saw my samples. And that's the great thing about working with acrylics is that you can bravely and fearlessly even mix your colors safely. So when we talk about complementary colors, those are colors across from each other on the color wheel. So the opposite of green is red, right? Christmas colors, right? But when we mix them together, we get kind of like a gross brown, black, gray, something or another, right? It's not really great. And that's the same for any complementary colors. So orange and blue, purple and green even, and all sorts of different combinations. All right, so there we go. This should be pretty dry, right? Yeah. So see, this is dry. It's not 100% dry, but it's dry enough to work with now. So this is basically set into the paper. All right, if I take my paintbrush and I just have water here and I paint on it, see, it's not moving, or not much at all, because it's not completely dry at the moment, but it's dry enough for me. All right, I'm going to spray this a little bit with some water, and then we're going to have fun with this quinacridone magenta. All right, so this is where you might not have this because it's not a super popular item, but ink sprays will work great with this. Some ink sprays are acrylic. The Dino Wakley, the gloss media sprays, those are acrylic sprays. Okay, so they're very similar to this latex acrylic ink. So if you have those, that would work. All right, so I sprayed this with a little bit of water. Oops, and I want to zoom in for you. All right, and so you see over here, see how nice and fluid that is? It's an ink. You can actually use this for like calligraphy and all that kind of stuff. And this I have sprayed. All right, and watch what happens. Oh, yeah. So I like to put some little spots in the white areas and then just give it a spray and watch it bloom. And just let it do what it wants to do. I'll like, see, I ended up with a little bit over there. Check that out. It's so cool. Tammy, if you got the paint instead of the ink, you can water it down a little bit with water, right? And end up with the same thing. You just want, it doesn't have to be this watery. You just want it to be loose enough that you can kind of paint with it and leave little loose spots and then just spray them and then watch them bloom. Look at that. It's so fun. And I don't want to put too much on here because I want that purple, the magenta to be, I want it to stand out in that there's not a lot. All right. But see, it like wants to vein in the white areas, but then it's going over the green and it just makes these really cool colors. All right. There we go. I think that's enough. I mean, like, I feel like I want to do this all day long, but, oh, check out this bloom. Very cool. Okay, so if you don't have the ink, see this little bit over here that I pulled out from the container, you can water this down enough that it would be usable. So it just needs to be kind of loose. And then see if you put it on here, it's still going to spread. Maybe not as much as the other. You might even get to make it looser. All right, and it'll spread a little bit for you. All right. There we go. Okay. So this, let me just pick up a couple of these extra drips. Okay, I don't want that. So you can, if you feel like you got like, there's like a big drip of water and you maybe want to dab it up a little bit, just dab it. Okay, so let's take a look at what we got here. So this is super wet now. And I'm going to go ahead and set this aside for a moment. Okay, now this one, we're just going to do some flicking. The just spray and watch technique. Yeah. Oh my gosh, guys. Should I do a video on that? The spray and watch technique. All right, so this one we're just going to do some splatters on. All right, and again, if you want to do something fun, spray and watch. There we go. Had to get enough water on there. So I splattered first on the dry panel, and now I'm spraying to activate those splatters and let them bloom a little bit. All right, check that out. So fun. Okay, so this one didn't need much either. All right, and that's it. That is it for our acrylic paints for today. Pretty fun, right? Yeah, very cool. This stuff here, you definitely could use, right? You could turn it into another funky panel, use up all your paint. You can even do some smushing and smush it up onto paper, or you can just, clean it up. Like so. Ooh, look at that fun color. All right. Throw it that way. So while this is still mostly wet, I can just spray it with some water. And it'll clean up. There we go. When it dries on my mat here, that's when I want to use a little bit of Murphy's oil soap mixed with, water, and let that soak for just a minute or two, and then it just comes right up. It's really amazing how easily acrylic paint can clean up from any surface, really. Any non-porous surface. Okay, so we got that guy. And we got this guy that is drying, and I'll move this stuff out of the way. It all just goes in my sink. All right. Make sure my lid is on this. If you guys saw my Craftastrophe a few weeks ago where I dumped an entire bottle of white acrylic ink, that was really sad. Super, super sad. Yeah, so Ms. Tamp says that you can do a few practices that you can add to your technique samples, which is great. It's good to play around with the technique and that kind of thing before you head into your final project, right? So a lot of times, that's a good thing. All right, so these guys are still wet. Let's get them dry. What questions do you guys have? I'm gonna roll back through the chat and see if there's any questions out there about the upcoming challenge or Bloom Crafters or the technique library or my freebies or anything you guys want to know while we're waiting for these to dry. Let's see. All right, we got all sorts of new folks out here today. If you haven't said hello yet, say hello and tell us where you're from. We got people from all over the world. A whole bunch of people in England. We've got Sweden, tonight. Penny's not here. She's from Australia, but she's one of our members. All right. Utah, Pennsylvania, Texas, hot Texas. It's been hot here in Nebraska too, for sure. All right. Sue, thank you for using my affiliate links. I appreciate it. Lots of great things came out at Altenew today, so let's see what to do. All sorts of great stuff. And there's new comments. Let me pop down to the bottom here and see. Oh, it gets hot, then you can use your mini fan. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody bought the mini fan this weekend, right? Oh my goodness. Good times. Welcome, Pat from Wisconsin. So glad to have you here. Oh, Cece, are you getting rain? We had lightning and thunder come through yesterday and we got 0.01 inches. It's like a drop. We haven't had rain in, I think, I don't know, it feels like a month. It's been a long time. A long time for us. We need rain. Did I coordinate my blouse with the paint? No, I did not. I didn't even really think about that. I was just like, oh, I'm going to wear my green shirt today. So when you sign up for the challenge, do you get the shopping list and promo codes right away? Yes, you will get what I call my supplies breakdown. So basically I tell you everything that I'm going to use. And then I also tell you what that product in general is. So that way you can do some shopping from your own stash before you decide if you need something else. If there's a suitable substitute, I'll let you know. So that way you can be like, oh, I don't have this, but I have that, and it'll work. Of course, you can always ask in the chat over on the challenge, hey, I have this. Do you think it would work for a week, whatever? And I'll let you know. Let's see. And then, oh, right now, if you join now, you will get a 15% off coupon to Picket Fence if you need to do any shopping for the stamps and products I'll be using from them. So thank you to Picket Fence for providing that. And yes, you will get that right away. So, yeah, the supply list is really great. It helps you to prep for the entire event and know maybe what you need and don't need without having to actually see the projects. I like to keep them a little secret. All right. Okay, so this is my second week with the Heat It tool, and though I like it, it takes forever. I'm like, dry already. There we go. Just trying to get some of these splatters to dry here. Let's see how dry this is. Dry enough. Excellent. Phew. Okay. All right, so now we have 2 panels. What are we going to do with them? We need to cut them up for cards, don't we? Okay, so we need to kind of decide, like, what part do we like? I know some people like to cut out a larger piece with a hole in the middle, like a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 space, so that they can see what section they like, you know, that kind of thing. Or you can just kind of eyeball it. All right, so... All right, I forgot, Anne, you just recently got that same heat tool, and yeah, it is slower, which is good for some things. I really like it for heat embossing because I think it embosses more evenly and gives you really beautiful melted embossing. But for drying things, it's sometimes just a little slow. All right, Joanne wants to know, when we shop, what code do we use so you get a commission? Okay, so the easiest way to make sure you're using one of my affiliate links is to go, well, there's a couple ways. You can use that shopping link that I've got in today's live. That will take you to like all the supplies I'm using. And if you click on one of those stores, it's going to set my affiliate link. So even if you don't buy that product, I'll still get the affiliate commission. So like say you're seeing these Liquitex acrylics at Dick Blick, right? you don't need the acrylics, but you wanted to buy something else at Dick Blick, you can just click on the Dick Blick little symbol and it'll do the affiliate for me, right? The other way you can do that is go over to NicoleWattCreates.com /crafty sales, and I always post all of the sales that are going on, and actually scrapbook.com has sales going on right now, so that might be worth checking out. All right, so I do have my my paper cutter like right here today, although I don't know that I like it here because it's sideways. So let's see, trying to figure out which part I want. So let's do this. Sometimes this is the hardest part, trying to decide how much of it you want to use and where you're going to cut it. But I will show you what I decided in a minute here. Okay, so this is the first one I decided on. So this gives me a nice space right here to do my sentiment, right? And then this one, I don't like the way that this got kind of modeled and doubled up over here. I like the more defined look. So I think I'm going to go for something like over here. And I just saw a spot that wasn't dry. That could have been a little craftscident. A little craftscident. There we go, now it's dry. All right, so I'm going to cut out this piece like right here. So see why it's nice to do like a bigger piece, because now I can pick and choose where it is that I want to cut from. So like this area doesn't look so great, so now I can avoid the whole thing by just cutting out this half of it. Okay, so there we go. Now we've got 2 finished panels. All right. And see, look, I've got like an extra piece here that I can use for something else. I could like fussy cut this and use it as a piece, or I could even just use this as like another card front, really. That would work, right? So these like come together super simple now because they just need to get stamped and added to my cards. Right. So I'm going to use this piece of craft plastic to help line up my sentiments. So it's just a piece of craft plastic. You can use one that maybe has lines on it. There's lots of different ones out there. This one I've had forever. And then I can pick out a sentiment that's going to fit, you know, like you're a real friend. I use this one already. Maybe I'm going to do this. Okay. So really great sentiments. This one says, if you'll believe in me, I'll believe in you. And this is from Through the Looking Glass. All right, and I'm just going to line it right up on the bottom. The great thing is I can stamp right over this acrylic. I didn't make it so thick that it can't be stamped on. So that's another advantage of doing this with water and brushes and the little sponges to help get that on there a little bit thinner. All right, and if I don't like, so now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I think I want it up just a little higher. All right, so with this plastic on here, I just stamp, pop it on here, and then see if it's square. And as you can see, it's kind of headed downhill a little bit, which means I didn't get it on here well. Good to knock it on here square. So let's try to realign that. If I had used the grid on here, I might have actually seen that. Right, but now I can just wipe that off carefully, like just a very lightly damp rag, right? Otherwise, you might get things. All right, so that's a little better. It's still not quite right though. My eyeball must be a little crooked today. Okay, so Tracy, it's not a crapsident, it's a craftsident. So like a craft accident, a craftsident. Although I do like crapsident, that's good. All right, so Sharon says, I have so much, but it seems like I never have what is used in the videos I watch. Okay, so my encouragement there is to take a look at the technique or how the person did whatever it was that they did, and see if you've got something that might work. Like I said, for this particular project, even though I used acrylic inks, there's other things that you could use that would work. Like I said, you can use some ink sprays that are acrylic based. You can water down some of your embossing pastes, those kinds of things, right? So there we go. If you believe in me, I'll believe in you. Beautiful. And just so simple, nice and plain. It's not really nice and plain because it's got like all this really greatness going on, but it doesn't need anything else, right? We don't need any embellishment or anything on that. So, and so Sharon, that's kind of some of the things that we do in the bloom community, is we can bounce those kinds of questions off of each other. Like, hey, I really want to do this technique. What can I use if I don't have this? Or what do you recommend if I want to get just a few? You don't need to have the whole set syndrome. You can get just a few and really get a good use out of them. Like if you were going to get acrylic paints, I would recommend getting, the Liquitex Basics in, a yellow, a magenta, and a blue. All right, that way you can mix those colors together and make the whole color wheel. All right, and I say magenta because sometimes red is not, I don't know, red makes things look too orangey sometimes, but magenta has a little bit more of that blue in there that works really well. So that's what I would say. And then you can splurge and get a few different things. Or if you have a particular color palette that you love, start with that and then go from there, right? You don't need to have it all. Let's see. Let's do this one. Friendship is one of the most satisfying things in the world. This is from Charlotte's Web. Oh, I love that. But Sharon has so many acrylic paints. Well, hey, check it out. You can do this project. You can have a lot of fun with it. All right, so this one I'm actually going to do some distressing around the edges. So I want to make sure that I get this in the right place. Can you make sprays with them? With acrylic paints? Yeah, you can. I don't know what would be the best liquid to mix them with in order to make an acrylic spray, because basically once you, like, this is a very intense color. Because it's designed this way, right? They made it a liquid and there's a lot of pigment in here, right? If I take this and I start watering it down to turn it into a spray, it may not be as intensely green anymore, right? Whether I use water or whether I use something like, there's like a fluid medium that allows this to be more fluid, right? And that's exactly the question, Sally, is will the color be as intense if you're trying to make your own? So that is something you can experiment with those. So if you have it, take a spray bottle and mix it and see what you think, right? If you're going to mix it with water, I would definitely use, and you're going to keep it in a spray bottle, I would definitely use distilled water. So that way you're keeping any kind of bacteria out of there. Because, you know, like plain water's got all sorts of floaties and little microscopic things in it, right? And we don't want that to end up contaminating everything, right? Yeah, so Ms. Tant, that's what I was talking about, like a glaze or a flow medium or something like that to water this down. But again, you might end up, it won't be as intense. All right, so this one says, friendship is one of the most satisfying things in the world. And it's totally cool that it goes right over our background because you can still read it. All right. All right. So that's why sometimes it's worth splurging, because this is formulated to be loose and intense, right? We did a, for the last challenge, if you are a part of the challenge this time and you've joined up and you got the $5 add-on for access to the previous challenge, watch the Q&A session from there, because we did this whole ink spray panel technique, which is amazing. And we talked about making your own ink sprays. And what we discovered was that in an ink spray that's like formulated to be an ink spray, it's mostly pigment, because to try and create our own ink sprays, we needed a whole lot of liquid watercolor or whatever it was in order to create an ink spray that was as intense as one that you would just buy. So that proved to me that it was worth buying ink sprays, because they're actually more ink than water, or, you know, liquid. Okay. Let's see. I want to grab, I didn't grab any these. I should have. All right, don't know if I have these on the supply list. I should have put them on there. Some double-sided adhesive sheets, because these are money. Okay. So for this one is done. What I do with my sheets, though, is that I cut them down so that they're smaller than the back. And the reason I'm using these double-sided adhesive sheets is to keep me from like having to worry about using liquid adhesive and it getting all over the place, and then like the little bumps from using water, because right, this is not flat, so sometimes it doesn't like to lay flat once you try to put liquid adhesive down. So I just cut these a little shorter. Right. And there's lots of brands of these that I like, so, you know, it's whatever I happen to have. And see how I'm just gonna put it on there, so that way it doesn't, don't have to worry about it going over the edges, right? All right, so here is my card. Here's my card front. So this guy is gonna fit on here like so. It's got a little border around it. And so for this, I pull back just a little bit, all right? And then I'm going to align this so that I have even spacing in the top three corners. So here, here, and here. So nice, even spacing, right? And then I can see, oh, it's nice and evenly spaced all the way down. So I can come back here and then peel and press. Easy peasy. Done. Look at that. It's a great card. Oh my gosh. So Tracy wants to know, other than being the instructor, how do you know when you're done? I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways to know that you're done. So with these cards, like in particular, like how much pink to put on, right? So I could see that it was spreading. Like this one has decidedly less and it's a little less dark. That's fine. That's just going to happen between each, right? So yeah, exactly. When it looks good to me. Some people don't quite know when it looks good to them yet. So I would say err on the side of too early, and then you can always add more, right? And I guess it is, Kathy, yes, it's $1,000,000 question, right? When to stop. So for like this one, I could say, yeah, I could put this on a card and that would be great. But for me, it felt like something was missing and I didn't want to add any kind of sequins or anything to that. It just felt like there was a lot of white on this side. There's a lot of color on this side. I had all this other distress going on and the rest of it just felt kind of blah. So I pulled out my scissors and I decided to distress the edges. So with the scissors, I just kind of scrape against the edge. All right. To see how that gives you like this really great distressed edge. All right, so there's also, and don't apologize, Tracy. It's a great question. It's not necessarily a mixed media question. It's really a question for any card. How do you know when you're done? You know, does it look balanced? Like when you look at it, do you want to go like this? Okay, then you might need to balance it up a little bit. Do you like the way that it looks, or does your eye not know where to go? Like, does your eye flow down to the sentiment or the big bold flower that you have on the page? That's good. If it's flowing somewhere else or it doesn't know exactly where to look, then maybe you've put too much on it, right? Following some basics. Oh no. My ink wasn't set, guys. We're going to have to repair that. We will in a moment. This is another tool. There's a different colored one, but it's a Tim Holtz tool. It's got a whole bunch of little razors in it, and you can use it to do the distressing as well. I guess we're going to have a little fix me moment, right? So thinking about some design principles. So they call this the rule of thirds, right? You learn that, you know, you want to split up your card design into thirds because that's kind of like the way that we like to see things balanced, right? So look at this. It's got, you know, if you divide this card into thirds, you've got 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So this third over here is empty, and then I took these 2/3. I didn't center it. I didn't move it over so it was just exactly half. I used 2/3 instead of 3. And then the same bit too, you know, it's down towards the bottom. If I had put it towards the top, it would make the card, think about it, would make the card feel top heavy, like it just wanted to fall over because the words were on the top, not anchored to anything. Right now they're anchored to the bottom. All right, so just a couple little tips for you there. Okay, we need to do a little reparo, magico reparo. Cardo reparo is like, you know, Oculus reparo for all my Harry Potter fans. Okay, this is a sand eraser. I use this I've had the sand eraser for a couple years now, and look, it's still like almost the whole thing. I use it very judiciously to fix things that happen. Like, see, look, I got ink on my finger. I transferred it all around because this sentiment wasn't quite dry. But if I just use it gently, I should be able to get up most of the ink. At least so that way it's not as noticeable and I can move on with my day. So even though I find that VersaFine Clair dries pretty quickly, sometimes it has a little bit of a hard time drying on the acrylic. So you might want to hit it with the heat gun, which is what I forgot to do. All right. Joan, you could definitely do this with watercolor paints. But you're going to have a little bit of a different effect when your complementary colors mix, right? So in this particular project, the acrylic paint, the green paint dried. And when I put the magenta paint over the dried acrylic paint, this didn't move. The green paint didn't move. The purple paint just kind of went over it. So that's how you get that different look. If you use watercolors, these colors, when you put the magenta over the green, it would have reactivated the green and it would have mixed colors, right? So that's why working with acrylics gives you this most amazing result that you can do contrasting colors, complementary colors. All right, so see, look, just a little bit of work there. Got rid of most of that. Whoops. And it's totally good to go now. Yeah, I love it when that works out. Okay. So this one again, actually this one is pretty flat now that I've worked it. We can just go ahead and glue this one on. So my favorite adhesive for gluing down is the Tombow Multi. I've been using it for years. I know a lot of people use Barely Art. I haven't had a chance to try it yet because I have so much Tombow. All right, so again, even when I'm using liquid glue, I'm aligning three sides, always three sides, and always on the folded side, because you can't adjust that, right? So I'll adjust for this top side and then these two, and make sure that those are nice and lined up, and then I can press, trying to avoid the text at the moment. And then if this side is too long, then I can go ahead and just do a little trim if I need to. All right, but there we go. Ta-da! And I have, like I said, a few little scraps left over that I can use for another project if I want. But that's that. Excellent, right? Oh my gosh, guys. These are great cards, and I'm so glad you guys have lots of great questions about using acrylics and about everything in general. I'm so glad you guys joined today. So glad to see a whole bunch of new folks. Welcome, and I hope to see you back next week. Cece says she's going to sleep fast. She's over in Sweden, so that way she can play tomorrow. And tomorrow will come faster for her. I hope so. Can't wait to see what you guys create. When you do create something, when you're inspired by anything here, I would love to see what you create. So follow me over on Instagram at Nicole Watt Creates. Tag me at Nicole Watt Creates. I'm even over on Facebook. You can tag me at Nicole Watt Creates. I'm there too. Love to see what you create. Please do give this video a thumbs up on your way out today. I hope to see you back here next week, and I hope to see you signed up for the challenge. If you do have any questions, of course, you can always email me back via any of the emails that I send out. I'm here to help you and have fun with all of your paper and ink. So be ready. We're going to get messy next week and have some fun with master sheets. So I'll see you guys next week. For my Boom Crafters members, I will see you in a little bit. Otherwise, have a great weekend, everyone. Happy crafting.